I think it's pretty fair to say that my mega mild Nissan E-NV200 looks like it's done 188,000 miles. From the ghosting of the old sign writing, the writing still on the windscreen from the auction, various bits of corrosion starting to set in, general filth, missing paint, and other signs of a typical fleet vehicle life well lived. I don't think anybody would mistake it for a low mileage example. In this video, we're going to see what we can do to clean up the outside of the van while spending as little on it as possible. And this probably won't be where you'll see me do something about that whopping great dent in the wing. We'll save that for later.
Let's be clear before we get started. This is not a detailing video. If you are of a detailing disposition and you're going to be worried about swirl marks and proper technique and two bucket methods and all that stuff, this is not the video for you. I would definitely recommend that you at least sit down when you watch this one. What it is though is a sort of very realistic valeting, trade valeting type technique and video where I'm going to show you how I clean up this van and make it more presentable. But if you're worried about detailing technique and stuff, you're going to have a hard time. First up, with a van that's dirty like this and clearly hasn't been washed in a little while and it's been sat around, it's been in various compounds, I like to go around with some kind of traffic film remover. Just mixed up in a pump sprayer, mixed reasonably strong, slap it all over the body. Don't let it dwell too long because it can actually just sort of dry into the paint and cause weird staining in the paint and stuff. It's nasty stuff all in all. This is a non-caustic one, but it is still can be nasty stuff if you leave it too long. So make sure you rinse it off, especially on a hot day like it is when I'm doing this here. You don't want that drying into your paint. So spray it all on, and by the time you've got round, basically you want to start rinsing that off more or less straight away. You don't want it to dwell too long. You want to leave it on a little bit so it actually takes effect and eats into the dirt, but you don't want to leave it in too long. And the next step of this, I noticed there was loads and loads of tar deposits all around the van. Now, this is really, really common, especially with white vehicles. They stick out like nothing on earth. So getting rid of those was really important. So I go around the whole thing with some tar and glue remover and spray it quite liberally over all of the tar spots. Let that dwell for a little bit and you see them sort of start to run. And then you can go around with a cloth and wipe all the tar away. It makes a huge, huge difference to how it looks. I mean, bearing in mind we haven't done a proper wash of this yet, we've just been running it with some TFR and some tar remover. It's looking much, much brighter already just by getting all that junk off the paint. Next up, it's time for the contact wash. Now, as I said earlier, this is not a detailing video. This was a one bucket wash. I used some Autoglym pure shampoo in a bucket with a wash mitt, went round the whole thing. Yes, you probably should use two buckets. It stops you dragging dirt all over the paint, all that kind of stuff. But in the interest of quick, dirty, get it clean, one bucket and a wash mitt was the order of the day. You probably don't like the technique very much, but that was what it called for. Next up, now that it's nice and clean, we could see there is still some sort of fallout and stuff in the paint. This is where like iron filings and stuff end up sort of ingrained in the paint. Again, it's really, really obvious in white vehicles especially because it stands out. So I went round it with Autoglym Magma. This works a little bit like the same way as the wheel cleaning stuff you get that turns purple. It sort of dissolves or helps lift the iron filings from the paint. So sprayed that on the whole van basically, especially the lower sections because that's where these types of contamination tend to be. It turns purple. You then give it a bit of a rub in places where it's the worst and then wash it off, and that finishes off getting rid of all the rubbish from the paint and it looks really, really good. And the next and pretty much final step for this cleanup was to make the ghosting of all that old sign writing go away. I don't particularly want to be driving around reminding everybody that this van used to belong to NHS Northumbria, so we need to polish that out of the paint to make sure that it is gone. And for this, I use a heavy cutting polish on a polishing pad on my sort of cordless dual action polisher. It's a little bit rubbish, this polisher. It's like a knockoff DeWalt polisher from Amazon. It doesn't really have that much power, but with a fully charged battery, it just about gets the job done. It takes multiple passes, and actually with a decent quality polisher, it'd be a lot faster. But after a fair bit of effort, polishing, rubbing the polish off, and going again, we get rid of all that sign writing, and it is quite a nice looking thing. And finally, this is the end result, and I think you will agree it is a lot better looking. I definitely need to do something about that rust along that top edge of the windscreen. That's probably one of the things that lets it down the most. And there's a couple of bits where the paint's sort of flaking off on the edges of panels and stuff. We'll need to touch all that in and make it look a bit nicer. But for now, much cleaner, much more respectable looking. That will do for now. And that's pretty much it from this video. It was just a little bit about, can I clean up this horrible old 188,000 mile ex-fleet van and at least make it look a little bit respectable. I know with that big dent in the wing, it's never quite going to be there, but I think you'll agree with a little bit of elbow grease and entirely the wrong methods for most of what I was doing, it looks a lot better indeed. Thank you so much for watching. Do make sure you're subscribed if you want to see more with this 188,000 mile Nissan E-NV200 as I press it into service, and I'll be sure to bring you more updates along the way. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.